with students when they needed help. Beautiful. Okay, so I love starting with this because it shows that we all come into early childhood, whether we want to be a teacher or whether we are thinking we want to do something in the field. We already know what good teachers need to do, right? And we know that every single one of you, I love it, every single one of you, yay, really talked about connections, right? And that's what early childhood, all education is about connections, but early childhood is the most important time we learn through connections with others. And we need more teachers who really understand that that is how we make children's brains grow. So we know what good teachers do, right? And how we feel when we go into a good teacher's class, right? We feel welcome, we feel they understand us, we feel it's a safe place to open up, right? And I'm literally just saying the things that you all said. You already know what good teachers do. So they do all of these things and we feel good. And when we feel good, adults, but especially children, when children feel good and safe and accepted, their brains are open up for learning. Children, I'm sure you've heard people say children are sponges. Absolutely, but you know what? Children aren't a sponge that's really dry. Have you ever seen like a really dry sponge and it's kind of hard to get it nice and soaked up? It takes a while to soak things in. You need to be, you need to provide an environment, right, where the children's brains can soak up. If it's a really dry environment where children feel scared and they're not secure and you're not this wonderful, open, loving, thoughtful, good listener, those brains aren't going to soak up anything if there's nothing to soak up, right? And so I'm super excited to see you here. That's my just first little intro before I start talking about, well, what does that look like? You know, where could my place potentially be in child development? And so if I don't know the answer to something, I will find that answer and I will get it to you. So first, we're just going to talk quickly about the child development program at Malcolm X. Is it a good fit for you? This is really important, right? We want to make sure when you're at Malcolm X, you're choosing something that's going to match with your goals, with your personality, with who you are, what you're interested in. When we know that when students feel comfortable, feel welcomed, and also feel engaged with their work, then they graduate, then they go and succeed in their careers. We want to make sure you enjoy what you're doing. So figuring out whether it's a good fit. So I just have this, whoops. I have these images of children. So when you look at these children, what are you thinking? Are you thinking, what are they doing? What's happening? Are you curious about them? Or when you see pictures of children or you see children in the park, do you look away or are they just kind of background, right? That's the first thing I want you to think about is just reflect right now. When you see children in the park, in your own family, what's your first response? Does your eye go to look at them? Are you curious about them? Or are you like, oh, they are noisy little things. I'm not interested. Okay, if you're my 16-year-old son, he's like, look the other way. Okay, he's not gonna enroll in my program. No. Okay, but if you're someone who's like, oh, what's going on? Or you hear children's laughter and you're curious, you're like, oh, I wonder what they're doing. Are you someone who wants to go over and start interacting with these children, right? So think about how you think about children. You definitely understanding whether working with children is the right thing for you is first you just need to think about that. A lot of times people will say, I love children. And loving children, I think, is like a basic thing that all humans need to do. We need to love and protect children. But I really want you to be someone who's curious about children, right? If you're curious about children, then you're not going to be making assumptions about them. Because when we make assumptions about children and we decide that they're this child and they need this and I know what's right for them, we don't want you working with children. You need to work in a bank. In a bank, things are right and wrong. It's very clear. Okay, 2 + 2 is 4 and there's no discussion. with children and families, there's so much going on. So we also want you to be somebody that's curious, interested in what's going on with children, but also has a very open mind, that curiosity of there are so many different ways to be, right? Again, we don't, if you're somebody who sees things very in one way, very clear, you're going to work much better in a bank. You're not going to be a good teacher. So I'd like you to steer you to the bank, because you'll probably be a great banker. We need people who are very cut and dry there. And here, working with young children, we need people who are curious and very open-minded. We never know what's going on with children. So what we need to do is observe and be patient and really take the time to check out what they're doing. So if you're still with me and you're thinking, yeah, wait, that kind of sounds like me, I want to talk about what sort of careers there are in child development. And here at Malcolm X, there's kind of two degree and career pathways. And I'm going to talk about the degrees you can do in each. First, we have the AAS, and that's the Associate in Applied Science. You can enter into this program and earn your Associates in Applied Science. And then the other one is the AA, which is the Associates in Arts. That's a transfer degree. So I'm going to talk about the different careers you could get with each of these careers. The AAS degree is a 2-year degree. And we say 2 years, meaning 5 classes each semester. If you're someone who's like, look, I can't do 5 classes, you can do 4 classes a semester, and it will take you 2 years and a summer of classes, or 2 years and an extra semester. Or if you're someone who's like, I need 3 classes, you don't have to do them. You don't have to follow the full-time path. If you do, it will take you 2 years. If you don't, that's okay, because we have lots of different people in child development coming and going. So after that 2-year degree, here are the potential careers you will be certified to teach and have a position in. You can be an infant teacher in a child care center. You can be a toddler teacher in a child care center. You can be a preschool teacher in a child care center. And when you keep hearing me say child care center, right? Those are the child care centers you see out in the neighborhood. Sometimes you'll see them, it'll say kiddie daycare or whatever it is. Or sometimes it's part of a larger organization like YMCA has child care centers within, right? We have a child care center right at Malcolm X. So when I say child care center, that's what that is. You can be an early Head Start teacher. And so early Head Start is a federally funded, it's kind of tricky, and you'll learn this when you get into child development. There's private pay, there's public pay, there's federally funded. This all talks about, well, where does the money come to support these programs, right? And so early Head Start is a federally funded program, and you can be an early Head Start teacher. That's 0 to 3 years old. And you can be an assistant Head Start teacher. An assistant Head Start is 3 to 5 years old, and you're the assistant teacher. Or you can be an assistant CPS, PK stands for preschool teacher. CPS is that's a public school, right? Most of you went to CPS. It used to only be kindergarten through 12th grade. Now we're having preschools, and we're opening up a ton of CPS preschools. We need 3,000 new teachers. So if you're thinking, I want to do this, great. You're going to have lots of job opportunities. And if you get your 2-year degree, you can be an assistant CPS preschool teacher. And then you can also be ECE, stands for Early Childhood Education, site director. So those are, right, I was just talking about the child care centers. That's the site director is the person who runs it, who manages it. They're also the person who can sometimes, they're certified to teach as well, right? So if a teacher is absent, that site director can go in and take over the teacher's role for that day. So those are the careers if you're interested in getting a 2-year degree. The Associates in Arts, and this is, I always like to talk to students about the differences between these two early on. The Associates Art is a 2-year degree here at Malcolm X, and then you're going to do plus another 2 years at a 4-year college. So altogether, you'll have 4 years of college. And careers for 4-year in early childhood our Head Start teacher, and again, remember that was the federally funded, where the money comes. You're the Head Start teacher. You're the teacher, the lead teacher. With the 2-year, you're the assistant teacher. So Head Start teacher, and that's 3 to 5-year-olds. Early intervention provider. Now that's early intervention is what we, early intervention is a program where children birth to 3 are identified when they have delays in their development. And so early intervention providers go into people's homes and help teach the families different activities they can do with their infant 1, 2, 3-year-old to make sure that they can catch up. And we've found early intervention. I have friends who are early intervention providers, and it's such an amazing and incredible experience because children, as long as they get these activities early on, they can catch up very quickly. And once they enter preschool, they're developing at a typical rate. There's also home visitors. Home visitors are also providing activities and working one-on-one with children and working with families. There's, and then the following careers, so those are the careers if you get a 4-year degree, and then if you get the professional educator license, which is also attached to 4-year degrees, you can be a public school teacher in preschool, kindergarten, 1st or 2nd grade, and you can be a special education teacher. So that's kind of the big field, right? And so it's kind of crummy that you have to kind of decide right now, but we hopefully will all live very long lives and you can have multiple careers. I certainly had multiple careers. So thinking about where you want to go is important, right? If you think, oh, I want to work with the younger children, the associates in applied science, the AAS 2-year, you will have lots of opportunities. If you think, wait, I really want to work in special ed, early intervention, I want to work with kindergarten, 1st or 2nd, you want to start going down that other path, okay? So that's yet another thing. If you're thinking, I know I want to work with children, okay, which path does the AAS career add on to the, thank you, Timothy, that's a great question. And it's kind of talking about my next slide. So the AAS career does not add on to the AA career. So they're kind of 2 totally separate pathways. And so the reason they're separate pathways is because when you transfer to a 4-year, what you need to do is get all of your gen ed requirements and not so many child development requirements, because you're going to be specializing your child development requirements at older ages or special ed if you're focusing on special ed. What happens with the AAS is you have stackable credentials with the AAS. So it's important when you're making this first initial distinction, it's important to think, what age of children do I want to work with? If you want to work with older children, you're going to scoot over to the AA, Associates in Arts. If you want to work a lot intensely with families, right? The early intervention provider and the home visitor, that's a lot of family. You're going to want to scoot over to the AAA, or if you're interested in special ed, AA. If you're interested in working with children birth to 5 and starting your career right after 2 years in college at Malcolm X, then you want to go to your AAS. And know that many of my students have had their AAS for years and then they transfer. And Willie, I see you wrote, can we do both? What happens, that's a great question. If you do both, you would do the AAS. And then if you went, let's say you did the AAS and you worked in preschool and you said, I want to be a kindergarten teacher now. Then what's going to happen is it's going to take you not just 2 years, it's going to take you 3 years when you go back in to study, to get your early childhood degree so you can teach kindergarten. That's what happens is you have to take more classes. It's okay if you don't know now, because the AA the intro classes you take, the very few first intro classes you take are the same. And so I'm going to show you the next slide, which is the stackable certificates. So if you do the basic certificate, it's called basic certificate in preschool education. That's 2 semesters here at Malcolm X. And you can see at the bottom it says Gateways ECE level 2. Gateways is what every single child care center in the state of Illinois, in Chicago, and all through the state, they look at those Gateways credentials. They're like, what Gateways do you have? They don't care where you've graduated. They want to know what Gateways. And so that's why I put Gateways level 2. So everybody, whether you're doing the AAS and you're focused on birth to 5, or you're doing the AA, everybody's going to earn that basic certificate. Okay, so everybody's going to earn that basic certificate, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to transfer. If you decide to transfer, you're going to be working. You won't work with me anymore. You'll work with the transfer center, and they will help you decide what courses you're going to take, so that you can transfer to a local university or college for your 4-year. If you continue in the AAS degree, you'll then, after you earn your basic certificate, you'll do another semester and you'll earn your advanced certificate, and that's aligned with the Gateways ECE level 3. And then another semester and you'll earn the AAS degree. And that's 4 semesters total. They just kind of add on. And that will be the Gateways ECE level 4. So those certificates, one thing that I want to point out is that those basic certificates, those are daytime courses. We offer them daytime at Malcolm X because most of our students, they don't have a job. They don't have a job yet in early childhood. And that's what they're taking through. So those courses, and I'll introduce you to a couple of those courses, those are during the day. Then what generally happens is once our students earn that basic certificate, they start working in a childcare center right away. So then the rest of the courses are evening courses because our students are all working in childcare centers, because you can get a job right away after you get your Gateways ECE level 2. They start working, and then they come to us in the evening and finish up their advanced certificate and then their AAS. And Vidya, I don't know if I'm saying your name, pronouncing your name correctly.
Vidya.
Vidya. Thank you, Vidya.
Thank you, ma'am.
Vidya, so you just asked, can we do the AAS without taking English 101? No, you need to take English 101 because it's a course that's a prerequisite for Child Development 101. So you do have to take it. But we do, one thing I want to point out, if anyone else, some of you also might be like, oh gosh, I'm worried about that English class. We have great tutors at our tutoring center. You can get tutored, one-on-one tutoring for every single class to help you get through that English 101 class. So I don't want anyone here to think, oh my gosh, I can't do this because, I always struggle with English. Please don't feel that way. I have many students who were really concerned, but they worked one-on-one with a tutor. And full disclosure here, I was a really bad writer in college. I could not write. I could talk like crazy, couldn't write. And I worked with a writing tutor when I was in college, and now I'm a really good writer. So you all can get there, okay? And then I see some other questions. If you have to go for the AA and transfer, can you go back for the AAS level 4 if you took some of the classes as electives? That's a great question, Erin. If you go, okay, so if you do, you can always come back and take those courses, absolutely. And you can continue to pull on those courses. But once you go and you transfer, you're gonna be on a pathway. And let me tell you, I want you to be on that pathway, because when you get on the pathway and you earn your bachelor's degree, and then hopefully your master's degree, you will continue earning more and more and more money. My next slide has the money. So you can see like what sort of salary can I expect, okay? So
I'm a fast student too. So I feel like I was kind of torn in them. I thought I was kind of going for like the basic certificate. I didn't realize my semesters were really spread out because I was working.
Okay, so tell me, can you tell me specifically actually, Erin, can we talk at the end and then we can talk specifically? That would be perfect. And then I can pull up your course history and then I can help answer you and figure out. Wonderful. And then I see Timothy with a basic certificate, you could work with CPS. No, you need to get the AAS. I'll go back a slide. You can work with CPS as an assistant teacher, a paraprofessional, which is a teacher's aide. You have to have your associate's degree. You can work with CPS. If you go on to get your 4-year in the PEL, then you can be the lead teacher. And then Carolyn, I have a BS in another field, but I'm taking courses in early childhood and I'm not seeking a degree. What are the best options? Basic. Carolyn, can you stay after too? And I can talk, and because that's going to be a longer question, but then I can also look at what you're doing. So Carolyn, please stay after and we'll talk one-on-one.
Okay.
And then, great. And then Jacqueline, can we do a summer semester? Can I get 3 of all? Okay, so can we do a summer semester, or do you only offer all your courses in fall and spring only? That way I can get 3 of the 4 semesters I needed in a year. Can you pack this in? Yes, especially now. I'm gonna say yes now, okay? Because we have, everything is electronic now. And so you can take a class at Truman. All of the child development, every single city college has a child development department. So you can take, if we're not offering the class you need, you can take it somewhere else. In the olden days when we were all on ground, many of our students would go to Harold Washington because Harold Washington's close, or maybe Kennedy King if you stayed on the south side, but nobody was going all the way up to Truman because it's just far to go. Now that everything's remote, it's very easy to kind of choose courses if we're not offering them at Malcolm X. And then Mark, I have a BS and an MBA, but I'm taking child development. You want to be? Oh yes, Mark, let's stay after. So we can discuss because that's a complicated question, but I can answer. And then yes, absolutely. Once I get through here, I will, I literally have nothing to do till 3, so I will answer individual questions as well. And then Jacqueline, so Willie, yes, stay after. And then Jacqueline, if we have to take a class somewhere else, we don't have to transfer anything like that since they're all CC. Yes, absolutely. You can just register for those classes at different city college campuses. So that's Truman. Occasionally you might need a program director approval for a particular class, like you would reach out to me if you're taking one at Malcolm X. In that case, you would have to reach out to, you could reach out to me and I would tell you who to reach out to, but yes, it's easy. And Eileen, yes, everybody can stay after. I will not say goodbye until everybody else has said goodbye and I've answered everyone's questions. Okay, so let me go through money, okay? So, whoops, here we go. Let's quickly, oh, and then Araceli, Araceli, what's your question?
I was gonna ask, if I had to take the practicum, do we have to take like a rotation?
So the practicum happens in the last semester. The practicum is you are going to be for 20 hours a week for a total of 250 hours, which is over 16 weeks. You are placed in an early childhood classroom. And if you already are employed, you can do your practicum at your place of employment. So that happens at the, yes. So that's, I mean, obviously if you, only if you're in an early childhood center, right? Obviously if you're employed at Target or something, we gotta get you in a preschool classroom. So yes, that is, it wasn't the case 3 years ago, but a law was passed in the state, and we now allow, it's legal to allow students to complete their practicum while being at a paid employment site. And then the summer, okay, Sarah, am I saying your name right? Can you tell me?
Yes.
Sarah? Okay, you're trying to enroll. Can we talk after too? We'll talk one-on-one in Shatrice. Yeah, we've got lots of questions. So I've got just 2 more slides. I'll get through the slides and then I'll stop my share and we can ask if there's more general questions. And then if I have to get into the nitty gritty, I will. So look at your salary increases. So this is something that I want to point out. If with the basic certificate, the range, salary increases with education and experience in early childhood. It always, right? It goes with your education, you get more, with your experience, you get more. So the basic certificate starting, you know, the starting salary is generally 17,000 going up to 29,000. When you earn your advanced certificate, 22,700 to 32, and then your AAS free, 27 to 32,600. Once you get into, if you're working at CPS with that associate's, the transfer degree, when you're working and you've earned the PEL, which is the professional educator's license, then you're going up to 50, 60. That's where you make much more money. So that's why I'm always, right, encouraging people to go that way. Another way that I don't have on here is if you open your own home child, it's called home daycare. If you open a child care program in your own home, you can make a significant amount of money. So that's also, if you're a business type person, that can be equally 50, 60, sometimes 80 or $90,000 a year. That I can't give advice on because I'm highly disorganized and could never run my own business. So make sure you're somebody who's highly organized and can run your own business. And we have a course, there are some courses you can take to help you with that. So, and then I've got information about the director credential. Yes, and I'm gonna show, I will show, Edith just asked about that. I'm gonna share, I will find a form that looks, and I'll drop it. Can I drop a PDF into the chat? I can. I'll drop the PDF into the chat, and I'll drop the PDF into the chat, and wait, I'm blanking. Oh, about the gateways. I'll show you what courses you need to take, which is an important one. And then the one last thing, and then I'm gonna go into questions. Trying it out. Okay, some of you might be like, I'm not so sure, do I wanna do this? These 3 classes you can take with no prerequisites. There's no English prerequisite, there's no child development prerequisite. Child Development 107, Health, Safety, and Nutrition. You're going to be learning, it's a great course. It's one of the courses I teach, I love it. You learn about not only how to keep children healthy and safe and well-fed, you learn about how to keep yourself emotionally, mentally healthy, safe, and well-fed, because we are models for children. So you learn about a lot about how you're going to be a great model for children and how to keep them healthy. You can also take Child Development 149, Creative Activities for Young Children. This class, it's a wonderful class because you'll be learning about how to engage children in exciting play-based activities that build their brain. And so students really love this one. They always, a lot of students will say, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm in preschool again, because we actually do the activities together. And then the last one, Child Development 120, Introduction to ECE Group Care. That's another one you can take without any background, and you learn about the field. You learn kind of what I've been talking about, right? All of these different careers, these options, and kind of the big issues that people are struggling with in child development.